Hey guys, it's Mr. Rowe here, and thank you for joining me. Now, it may seem a little unbelievable that there's just one thing that's having this huge impact on your life. However, there is one thing in all of our lives that is hindering our performance in so many different aspects of our life. Whether that's when we're learning, so like at school or university, when we're at work, when we're at the gym, in the mornings or in the evenings, or even when we're trying to work on that side hustle. And you may have guessed what it is by now. So, in a study performed by industry watchdog Ofcom, how many hours do you think they found that the average UK person spends staring into a screen? So like a TV, laptop or phone. Now, put in the comments below what your phone screen time is. I'll wait, no worries, you can pause the video and you may be shocked to see what it is. Done? It's actually 6.5 hours a day on average. That's 98 days a year we're spending on our phones, TV, laptops, etc. And the stats are even more shocking when you realize that over half of that is spent just on the phone. So over 3.5 hours on average a day just on the phone. And that raises to over 4 hours a day in the ages of 16 to 24. So that's 50 to 60 days a year we're spending staring into that tiny little device. By spending so much time on our phones, we're losing the motivation to do those important day-to-day tasks and ultimately being way less productive with our time. That's over a month a year that we're losing that we could be spending with our friends and family, building our future and ultimately becoming the best version of ourselves. Now, we've all heard that we should be spending a little bit less time on our phones. However, how exactly is it holding us back? And more importantly, what can you do about it right now, today? That's why in today's video, I'm going to be going over how you can be way more productive with your time just by managing your phone a little bit in the morning and a little bit in the evening. So nothing extra needed. Go grab yourself a snack and let's go. So to find out how we can be using our phones less, we first need to understand why we're all so addicted to scrolling through and checking our phones in the first place. In a really simplified explanation of some brain psychology, our brain will do whatever it can to make us feel good and rewarded as much as possible, and will normally take the easiest and shortest route to get there. Professor Steve Peters talks about this a lot in his amazing book, The Chimp's Paradox. If you want to know more about how our brain works and how to manage yourself better, I really recommend it. Review and summary of that book coming soon. Anyway, scrolling through social media, giving and receiving likes, getting quick hits of comedy on TikTok, all cause what scientists like to call activation in brain circuitry implicated in reward. Now this sounds complicated, but all it really means is when you're on social media, for example, your brain interprets this as positive feedback and in return gives you the reward of firing off dopamine receptors. This is the hormone that makes us feel good and satisfied. Now this is why we can spend so much time wasting the day on our phones, and it's actually similar in the way in which gambling and narcotics have the power to rule over our brain's reward system. So now that we know that, let's get into how we can combat this. So the first thing we can do to immediately reduce our phone time is in the morning. Now we all do it, wake up and the first thing we do is we pick up our phone and we start checking Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, TikTok, any new messages, emails, and that's just to name a few. And this is a surefire way to make sure you start your day in the least productive way possible, as we're getting all those dopamine hits from our phone and now our brain isn't interested in doing much else. So to avoid this, we can do a number of things. Now the best thing you can do is to leave your phone outside of the bedroom and replace it with a physical alarm clock. This removes your phone as a distraction first thing in the morning. Now another addition to this that you can have is to write a to-do list for the next day, the night before, and have that in your room too. Now we've all been there, we all do it. We go to bed and we have this burst of motivation to get all these things that we want to do done. So we start thinking about what we need to do, what we want to accomplish, and then we wake up and we either forget about it or don't get it done. So not having our phone in the bedroom is going to remove it as a distraction for us first thing in the morning. Now, if you feel like you need your phone in your room for an emergency call or something or the other, that's very understandable. So in this case, I would not advise you to leave your phone outside of the bedroom or have it next to your bed, but have it on the other side of your bedroom next to a glass of water and your to-do list too. This will mean when you wake up in the morning, you have to physically get out of bed to turn your alarm off. You will then have some water to instantly hydrate you, and you will have the motivation you need for the day right there in front of you in the form of your to-do list. Now, it is vital that after this little morning routine, you go about a structured day. Try not to touch your phone in the first hour or two, as how you start your day can have a huge impact on the rest of it. Even things like emails and messages, they can wait until you finish that first task of the day. Because we've all had it, we wake up, we read that email or message that we just didn't want to see, and then it just ruins our morning and it's not the best start to the day. Having those little hits of dopamine, however, from the small wins, like making your bed, having a shower, making breakfast, getting dressed, and most importantly, having that first task of the day on your to-do list completed will override those distractions and scrolling through Instagram, so you can stay focused, feel more accomplished, and ultimately have a productive morning routine. Now, if you find it really difficult to stay off of your phone, only allow yourself to use it after you've finished something on your to-do list. Now, this doesn't include those, normal things like showering or having breakfast or brushing your teeth, as those things shouldn't be in your to-do list anyway. However, if you've written that you should do 1,000 words of your essay, or you've told yourself you're going to get, 2 chapters of that book read that you've really wanted to do for the last few months. Once you've completed that, then you can allow yourself 15 to 30 minutes on your phone and then leave it alone until you finish the next task, that is. And it is a good idea at this point to start thinking about having time limits on your applications. Now, you can change this in your phone settings. So after a certain period of time, let's say 15 minutes or 20 minutes on an app, your phone will say, hey, it's time to put the phone down and, start going about your day. So we've talked about the morning. Now, what should we be doing in the evening? Now, most of us, when we go to bed, we take our phones with us and we start scrolling through social media, or we start watching videos or playing games or whatever else you want to get up to. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been guilty of this in the past too, and I'm sure there are so many of you out there who are doing the exact same thing. But you may think,
well, I'm done for the day, so spending some time on my phone before I go to sleep is fine.
Well, not exactly. All that blue light exposure that you're getting from your screen by using it at night is affecting and reducing your melatonin levels, which is the nighttime hormone that is released by your brain to encourage and regulate sleep. By inhibiting the amount of melatonin released, you're not only going to force your body to stay up later than it would have liked, but it's also going to affect the quality of your sleep when you eventually do nod off. This means when you wake up the next day, it's probably going to be a little bit later than you would have liked, and it's also going to mean you feel less rested. So this has now had a domino effect onto the next day, meaning you're going to be less productive. So to prevent this, you don't want any screen time around an hour or two before you go to sleep. So you can do something more relaxing instead, like reading a book or chatting to somebody that you live with. If you absolutely have to be in front of a screen before you go to sleep, so let's say you're working at your laptop late at night, in that case you want to turn off the blue light that's emitted from your screen. Most devices will have something in the settings called a night mode, which will reduce the amount of blue light that is emitted from your screen. And they usually have a timer for this too, so you can have it automatically turn on when you're going to bed, so an hour or two before you're sleeping. So then you don't even have to think about it. This will mean that your melatonin levels are as high as they possibly can be before you go to sleep, meaning when you wake up the next day, you're feeling refreshed and productive. Those are just a few of the ways you can reduce your screen time to be more productive. You don't need anything to get started with them, so why not start tonight? Maybe start with one of them and just build up to more. Let me know how you get on in the comments below. Also let me know of any ways that you found have been helpful in reducing your screen time, and if you have any questions, leave them there too. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take care and keep grinding.